This is a Film Stories original podcast.
We made this.
Welcome back everyone to the Xcast. The truth is in here. I'm your host, Tony Black, and this is I Want to Believe Minute, where we unpick the second X-Files movie 1 minute at a time. Today, helping me to explore minute 58, the last in this little mini block, running from approximately 57 minutes, with Daxon being interrogated through to 57 minutes 59 seconds as Scully shows up at Father Joe's door. It is once again author, critic, and podcaster, Darren Mooney. Welcome back, Darren.
Hello, how are things?
Very good, and I think we need to talk about Robert Cole. Okay, I promised this in the last one, and I have to start this off right with. So this guy, there's two things. He's played before we talk about the character. He's played by a guy called Donovan Stinson. Okay.
Oh my god!
Now on IMDb,
Carter name.
Another good Carter name. Exactly. Now on IMDb, there's a couple of things. Firstly, he's credited as Suited Man. He's not credited as Robert Cole, which is a bit strange. Even though he's named Robert Cole in the film.
He specifically states his name.
Yeah.
He's like,
right.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Robert Cole. I'll be your guest star for the next minute.
Yeah, I have a very, very square sort of FBI man face. I have an amazing FBI overcoat, DA overcoat, and I have an incredible mustache. I've walked out of a 1940s noir. However, right, this is the thing. I have a theory, right? Okay. This might be a conspiracy theory, but I have a theory that Donovan Stinson has written his own IMDb profile. Right?
Okay, all right.
And I'm going to read the first bit and see if you agree with me. All right.
Okay.
This won't take long. But this is a slight diversion.
No. What is this podcast but a slight diversion?
What is it but tangents? Here we go. He starts off modestly. Donovan Stinson is a true pioneer in the entertainment industry, lauded for his groundbreaking contributions as an actor in the motion capture field for video games and animated programs. With a career spanning an impressive 25 years, he's not only made his mark as... It is impressive. He's not only made his mark as a motion capture expert, but also as an accomplished film and television actor. And this is my favourite bit, right? And I'll finish with this. Earning the reputation of being a Swiss Army knife of talents.
I mean, he can he can give you mustache. He can give you trench coat. He can give you like FBI agent. He can give you bureaucrat. He can. I look at him and I think that's a man who works for the district attorney's office in Richmond.
Thing is, this goes on, Darren. This is like 4 paragraphs, and we haven't got time to.
We've got time. You can't just tease us, Tony. Go for it. Give us a second paragraph at least, and then.
No, I would encourage. Well, I tell you what, I'll give you the last paragraph, all right? Because a lot of it is just talking about what he's done, and I'm taking the piss, but I'm taking nothing away from Mr. Stinson.
He is lauded.
If he's done all this,
he is
great.
Lauded.
He's lauded, right?
A Swiss Army knife of talent.
A Swiss Army knife of talent.
I need to put that on my CV. So I need to steal that. Yeah,
it's good, isn't it? Yeah. It's good. So this is how he finishes it. Donovan's passion for his craft and his ability to seamlessly transition between motion capture and traditional acting roles make him a sought-after talent in the entertainment world. His dedication to pushing the boundaries of his craft and delivering captivating performances have earned him the admiration and respect of fans, peers, and industry professionals alike. I think that's
he is literally captivating here in that he does capture Daxon. He's not inaccurate.
He's not. I just had to start with that, Darren, because when I read that, I was like, that is incredible, and fair play to him. What do you think about this scene though altogether? So he's accosted by Cole. He's annoyed because he's got these organs. He's got to get where he's going. He says, "I don't have much time. I have to move fast," which is fair enough. But Cole wants ID. I mean, Is this a bit of an odd scene,
Yes.
Darren?
I mean,
where do you stand on this?
I mean, again, we are talking about like I Want to Believe, which is a movie. I hope it's come across in the previous 2 minutes. It's a movie I have a great deal of affection for. It is a movie that is full of odd scenes, which again is something we talked about, like liking about Carter. He is very literary. He doesn't necessarily plot in an ABC linear fashion. This is, a very, very strange scene. In that, like, what it's meant to convey to you is that Daxon is being watched by the authorities. Now, we find out later through exposition that they arrest him and release him because there's no evidence. But the line of questioning that happens here and the responses is not how people talk. And that to be clear, not a criticism. Naturalism is sometimes overrated as a writing technique. But like there's a moment, one of my favorite moments is, have you ever procured or delivered an organ outside of normal lawful channels? And Daxon goes, no. And then
no,
but he pauses, like, which is not what you should do. I've never procured or delivered organs outside of normal lawful channels. But if I did and I was asked, I'd be like, no. What are you talking about? I'd be like, on the buzzer. I'd be like, I cannot leave any room for ambiguity. I do not need the person I am talking to going, wait, how does he have to think about that? Like, what events is he filtering out of his memory to reach the answer no? But then after Daxon gives him the no, Cole presses with, you're an employee with this company. How would your employer answer this question? And it's like, wait. Are you implying, Cole, that you have talked to Daxon's employer and the man who is paying Daxon to ferry human organs, like, from this hospital to Willow's Memorial Hospital? It's like, look, Daxon, he's a good worker. He's got a good heart. He's got a good work ethic. I mean, who hasn't procured or delivered an organ outside of normal lawful channels once or twice in their lives? Everybody makes mistakes. Like, it's like, is the implication here that, like, Cole thinks that if he asks Daxon's employer if he has ever employed a man who has procured or delivered organs outside of normal lawful channels, the employer would be like, you got me. It's like, we do it all the time. It's just like, that's just where the market's going. And, like, Daxon is worried that his employer is going to confess to organ trafficking.
It's so weird. Exactly. It's so strange. I was really struck by it. Because I obviously, when you watch a film, and I've seen I Want to Believe a fair few times, but when you watch a film, I would say these kind of scenes normally sort of pass
boilerplate. They're boilerplate. They're like, we need to get this information. Yeah, they're boilerplate. The audience needs to know this by the end of this scene,
Exactly. And as you said, Daxon isn't necessarily the most dynamic, exciting character in the X-Files, history of the X-Files. So quite often, I've never really paid much attention to this, and I'd not really remembered it before. But when you watch it this closely, it really strikes you how strange an interaction it is. And I can't remember whether we see Cole again after this.
I really
believe
so. I think we find out that they released Daxon because of lack of evidence. It's like, because obviously that's after Father Joe has a seizure. I'm hoping, by the way, that we are not ruining this movie, that nobody is watching minute by minute and listening to a 20-minute podcast every minute after their first watch, and so are like shocked by the twists and turns developing.
If you're listening, if you are that person and you exist, please tell us who you are, because I think that would be an incredible
for the first time.
Yeah,
for the first time. Okay, I got 60 seconds in. Need to listen to my podcast. It's like, make some good points. I'm now prepared for minute 2. But we're going to assume, like, listeners have watched I Want to Believe in toto before listening to him. At least once. Yeah. So, like, you do have, I think Whitney tells Scully that it's like, they questioned him about trafficking in black market human organs this afternoon, but he was released because there was no evidence to hold him.
Right.
And it's just like,
So we never see Cole again after this. So he makes an impression. I'll give him that.
I mean, look, he is a Swiss Army knife of talent, Tony. I do, though, really want to see, like, the David Lynch, like, Twin Peaks-esque long interrogation between Cole and Daxon, where like Daxon comes in and like offers him a cigarette, and they just stand awkwardly for like 30 seconds, and then he asks like, "Do you like rock and roll?" or something completely off base like that, and Daxon's like, "I have organ for transplant." You know, I just want to. I want to see more of that dynamic between the pair of them. I want to see like Cole slamming the desk, slamming it down, and going, "This is a slam dunk case," and it's like the guy reading it going, "No, these are just non sequiturs." You are having two different conversations with one another.
I'm trying to remember if in Twin Peaks wasn't like he's David Lynch's character called Gordon Cole.
So maybe.
So I want to have Gordon Cole interrogating Daxon and talking like this. Did you transport the organs for transplant illegally? That's what I want. I want that crossover.
And
please.
Daxon's like, and yes, if I do not change his heart, he will die. So that was an obscure Twin Peaks reference. I'm very proud of myself, but sorry.
Well done. He says who I'm delivering to has cancer, doesn't he? Because he's saying he says he's transplanting a human liver, and he says he has cancer. He's delivering to, and again, that's another. I suppose that is another X-Files regular reference, isn't it? Cancer's obviously a big part of the X-Files, just generally, in particularly for Scully. So it feels like the movie, even unintentionally, sometimes he's just reaching back into all of these little things, that to X-Files fans will have some level of meaning, I suppose. And that's not a big one, but it just, again, it struck me, cancer.
Yeah,
okay, X-Files.
Like, even more, like, again, we're doing this minutiae, we're doing this forensically, line by line. Like, as you said, when you pay attention to this transaction, right? So Cole asks, how would your employer answer this question? And Daxon replies, he's sick, has cancer. And it's like, wait, is Daxon referring to the guy who is accepting the organ transplant, or is he talking about his employer? Is his employer his husband? What is going on here? Like, well, what exactly is, like, what conversation is Daxon having, and what conversation is Cole having, and where do the two of them kind of line up or overlap? Like, I part of me is like, wait, is Daxon employed by an organ trafficking company run by a dude who has cancer, and Daxon is concerned about him being hassled by the man?
Yeah, it's not very clear, is it? It's a bit unclear. So yeah, it's an odd scene. But in the commentary, Carter talks a bit about how impressed he was that Callum Keith Rennie was able to craft a Russian accent in the way he did, and pull that off, because he obviously isn't Russian. And they wanted to make him look creepier. And because he, for years, apparently, was quite a keen hockey player. And as a result,
this is how you know it's a Vancouver movie.
This is how you know, exactly. He had to have a bridge put in his teeth. So they used that, apparently, to help make him look creepier in the face. Because obviously, as you said, he's quite a good-looking bloke. And they had to try and creep him up.
Okay, so what you're saying is the tooth is out there.
Yeah. Oh, that's another round of applause, Darren, I think. That's very good. The tooth is in here.
You can tell we've already recorded two of these because it's already off the rails.
This one. Well, yeah. So let's leave that scene behind. Let's talk then finally about the final moment where we go to Father Joe, Billy Connolly, in his yellow hat, not quite house, yellow flat. Since he talks about
door, yeah.
And he's reading his Bible. And then somebody knocks at the door. He opens the door, and Scully's there. No dialogue, but it's Scully looking very, very anxious, as you'd imagine, and it will lead to an interesting scene. What do you make of this, then, Darren? You want to talk about Father Joe as well. So, what are your thoughts here?
You've presumably covered a moment with Father Joe in it before this point, have you? Or is this your first time talking about Billy?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
because, I mean, like, again, I'm a generation who grew up with Billy Connolly as the comedian. So it's very... and I know, obviously, he'd done, like, Mrs. Brown and stuff like that. But it's very odd to look at Billy Connolly and think this is the man you hired to play a reformed, like, pedophile. A man who is a child abuser who is trying to go straight. And, like, the Father Joe stuff is interesting because it is thematically stuff that Carter is very obviously interested in. And again, this is one of those things where it makes more sense in hindsight. It makes more sense in context, knowing what comes after it, than it does knowing what came before. But Carter, obviously, we've talked about on the podcast before, he is, he has this interest in religion, and he has this interest in Christianity and Christian religions in particular. And it's fascinating because it's this kind of new age approach to Christianity where it's like, what if we took some of the core concepts and some of the specific ideas, but ignored a large part of the organizing hierarchies and structures around it? Where, like, it's very telling that, Ybarra is basically one of the antagonists of this movie, and he is the priest who is not a sex offender, which is kind of interesting, whereas you have the reformed pedophile is this character who's looking for redemption. But, like, to this movie's credit, and, like, I honestly and sincerely mean to its credit, I don't think it pulls it off, but I think it is, to put it frankly, an impossible task for a movie like this to pull off. But Carter is asking a very sincere, very earnest question about forgiveness, where forgiveness is a large part of virtually every religious system. The idea of, can you forgive someone? If somebody wrongs you or wrongs society and they seek to atone, is there a process by which there can be a reconciliation? And through that reconciliation, can you move past the harm that has been caused? And I don't know how successful this film is. I don't think it is successful, but I think it's taking big swings and I admire it. One of the things that I do, and again, this is something where if I sound like I'm uncomfortable talking about it, I am uncomfortable talking about it because it's a very thorny issue, and I don't want to say something stupid or thoughtless or offensive, and I don't want to offend anyone who knows more about this issue than I do, and I don't want to pretend I'm an authority. I'm speaking purely as somebody who has an emotional reaction to this film, and somebody who is Irish and who, as an Irish person, maybe has some thoughts related to issues around the ideas with which the Father Joe storyline is playing. And I think what makes this interesting is that Carter is very interested in this idea of forgiveness and redemption. And when I say that this makes more sense in hindsight, I am specifically thinking of Babylon, which is obviously perhaps the most maligned episode of the Revival series. It is a Carter scripted episode, but it is dealing with a similar sort of theme where it's this idea of a terrorist. This guy, this young suicide bomber who kills innocent people. And through that episode, there's the question of, like, can you ever understand a human being who could do this terrible thing? Can you ever forgive a human being who does this terrible thing? And I think, obviously, we don't have time to talk about Babylon and the mess of ideas that Babylon is playing with. It is doing something very similar to this, where Carter is grabbing a really complex, a really thorny, a really loaded idea by the horns and trying to wrestle it into submission from a perspective that maybe isn't the best perspective to be talking about it. Like, I don't think that Carter knows enough about Islamic extremism, for example, to have written Babylon. I think that episode is maybe a little clumsy and ill-judged in dealing with those themes and ideas, even though I understand where it's coming from, which is Carter being interested more broadly in the idea of redemption and the question of, is anybody ever truly past redemption? I think there's a similar aspect here with child sex abuse, with Father Joe, where, the movie seems to make a case for wanting to forgive him or for him deserving redemption, and the idea that society will never be able to forgive him is in some ways presented as a tragedy, in that he is, he is a character who is trying to redeem himself and is presented as, a character who honestly wants to atone for the terrible things he's done. Worth noting, by the way, that this was something that was percolating through pop culture at this time. I think you had The Woodsman would have come out, I think, 4 years earlier, starring Kevin Bacon, which is a similar idea. It's about a child abuser who gets out of prison. That is a remarkable film. It's a deeply, deeply uncomfortable watch, but I think it deals with this material with a great deal more finesse, let's say, than I Want to Believe does. But through I Want to Believe, you have this interesting recurring motif where Carter will cut between a horrible thing happening and the consequences of that. The action and the aftermath. And the opening scene is a great example of this, where you cut from the sequence where the FBI agent is being attacked and abducted to the rest of the FBI looking for her in the snow the following morning, where you see the thing that is happening, but you also see the aftermath and the ripple effect of it. And obviously, not to put too much weight on this, but with Father Joe, you will discover that he has a connection to the crimes that are being committed, to the people who are doing this terrible thing. And you get this idea of violence being intertwined and interconnected, where the ripple effects of these actions they form bonds between people that we don't really understand, and navigating those are complicated. And I don't think it works is the important part to get out there and just say before I say what I'm about to say. I don't think it works at all. I think the film is nowhere near as skilled or as delicate or as finesse as it needs to be dealing with the themes that it has chosen to deal with. But still saying that, I admire the fact that it takes those big swings. Like, I admire that Carter said, I'm going to write a story about redemption and forgiveness, and at its center I am going to put a human being who has done something that is completely irredeemable and unforgivable to anybody in the world. And I think that is a brave choice for this movie to make. I think it is a daring choice. I think it is a choice that no other movie in this context would make, that no other writer would choose to put at the center of a big summer release that is a nostalgic revival of a beloved property. And I don't think it works at all. And I think a large part of why the movie doesn't work is because that central conceit is unworkable. But honest to goodness, I love that it tries. That, and again, this is the complex relationship I have with the movie that we've talked about over the previous 3 episodes, where it's I don't know that I Want to Believe works, but I kind of admire what it is trying to do. It's not a movie that lacks for ambition. It's not a movie that lacks in trying to say or do things. And I think Father Joe is an interesting character. Every time I watch this movie, I have complicated feelings about Father Joe that I don't know I can properly articulate. Where he is a monster. He has done terrible things, and I think Scully's contempt for him is entirely earned, but it's also very clear that he does want to do right. He does want to do good, even if he himself possibly knows and believes that he's beyond redemption. That's for people to talk about in the next couple of minutes, because he will specifically address that point. But Father Joe is just this thorny mess of ideas that kind of gets at everything that I kind of love and find alienating about this movie at the same time, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, or is that just nonsense?
Yeah. No, it does. No, absolutely not. No, it absolutely does. I think that's actually a really good primer almost for the next batch of episodes, which are going to get into this a lot more with Scully and Father Joe and this conversation. So that you've laid some really good track there, Darren. So thanks. Yeah, it's really interesting to hear your thoughts on that. And we're going to call time on this now. Which it's been it's been a very good episode, because we've had all of that great analysis and then me talking about some dude's IMDb profile. So we've had a real balance. And
only half of that IMDb page. I feel like you're missing the 2 key chapters. But look, he is a Swiss Army knife of talent.
It's a Swiss Army knife of talent.
That is the best line anybody's ever written about themselves.
It's brilliant. I mean, if he did write that himself, he should be writing screenplays. This dude, I tell you, he really should, or novels. So I encourage anyone to go and find his IMDb and enjoy the rest of it. But
that was the alternate line from like Man on Fire, wasn't it? Like Christopher Walken going, Crilly is a Swiss Army knife of death.
We need more. I'm a Swiss Army knife of. Insert whatever here in everything. But Darren, it's been great. It's been great to talk these minutes with you. And until you are back, where can people find you and what you're roughly up to?
All right, so it is no secret we are recording this very, very far in advance. So this is Potshock. We might be. So I have no idea where I am because I'm a Swiss Army knife of like moving targets. What I will say is that I'm on Twitter, which I don't know if that still exists at this moment in time, but you can find me at Darren_Mooney. I'm on Blue Sky, I think, is the other one that I'm on as well. I host a podcast with my good friend Andrew Quinn called The 250. Tony's been on a couple of times. You did our Indiana Summer. You did an episode covering Dial of Destiny last year, which was one of our most popular episodes of the year, so thank you very much for that. It was a really fun discussion. People seem to really, really like it.
I don't think they were there for me, but it's nice to be on it.
I don't know. I think the Tony fans are there. What do we call them? Like the Blackheads? They'd be the Blackheads.
I think Tony fans should be the name of my Patreon, but that's a whole other story.
But yeah, so I don't know exactly what we'll be covering at this time of year. There's a decent chance that we will have invited the wonderful Charlene Leyden back to talk about the 3 seasons of the Chucky TV show, because that is very much on my dance card of things that we need to do next year. So we covered all of the Chucky movies earlier this year with Charlene, or earlier last year with Charlene. You can listen to those. They're fun discussions. That was kind of like Andrew's pitch, was like he wants to talk about Chucky. I was like, Andrew, do you like the Chucky movies? Like, no, but they seem like the kind of movie I would like. Which is the energy. That is the energy that Andrew brings to the podcast, and I love it so very, very much. Spoiler alert, he did love them. He loved them so much. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Then I said, let's do the Halloween movies. And we did all the Halloween movies. And Andrew did not love the Halloween movies nearly as much. But you can also listen to those. I think those are fun discussions. People like those as well. But yeah, that's it. Give me a quick Google. Just Google Darren Mooney and I'll come up. I am the one who was not the drummer in Primal Scream. I am not the Mosley Drummy of like Primal Scream, unfortunately. But you can find me handily enough.
Fantastic. Loads to enjoy there. Unless you're a Primal Scream fan, and then you're going to be disappointed. But, we can't win it all, can we, really? But thanks, Darren. It's been brilliant, as always, to talk to you. Remember, guys, you can track me down if you want to at linktr.ee/AgeOfBlackWriter. And please follow the Xcast on all the socials and let us know what you think of these episodes. Let us know what you think about I Want to Believe Minute. If you are that person who is watching it minute by minute and then listening to the podcast as you go, please make yourself known because we want to hear from you. But until we're back and Darren's back again, thanks as always for listening. And remember, trust no one.